Hello, my crafty friends. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to show you how to make this fun diagonal flap fold card. You can see it opens up this way and then that way. So it really creates a lot of interest, and it's really very straightforward to make. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to make the base of the card first, and then we'll assemble it, but we won't, then we'll stamp and die cut and do all those pieces to actually finish it off. So I hope you'll stay with me through the end. We're going to do some heat embossing. We've got some stamping, some punching, and I've got a lot to share. My name is Linda Edwards. I am with Crafty Heron Designs, and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and all of the products that you'll see here are Stampin' Up! Products. So I'm using the Layering Leaves stamp set, which is a new stamp set in the annual catalog, the 2023-24 annual catalog. This is the $1 Million stamp set designed by Rachel Tessman, and it coordinates with our Bough Punch, which we've had actually for a while. You can see that you can get the two leaves out of the one punch. So also actually using one stamp from the Timeless Arrangements stamp set. We're going to use this little guy here. I just thought it gives a nice background texture. So we're just using that one from Timeless Arrangements. But you know, you can use whatever you have on hand. This basic card design is really pretty easy to do. You do need a good trimmer to cut those diagonals, but it's a lot of fun, and I'm going to show you some tricks about inking the stamps to get the two-tone effect from the flowers as well. The paper is from the Masterfully Made designer series paper. That's also in this new catalog, and the colors are just amazing in this paper. I mean, look at this. The card I'm going to make today is actually out of this sheet, and there are just so many wonderful, wonderful papers in this. Look at this. You can do 6 different sheets, and they have this newsprint in the background, which is really kind of fun, although it did make it a little bit of a challenge to create the card because it's not easy to read, and you know, I wanted to make sure that it was up, that was the right side up. So I don't know if you can see that. There's actually some newsprint there and in this one, and I just wanted to make sure that it was right side up. Not that probably most people would notice, but I noticed. So, all right, so let's set that aside. I will bring in my card measurements for you. And I will also have these in the description of the video. So if you're watching me, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube, if you go to the description, which is below the video, I will have all this information for you. And here are the numbers, just to make it easier for you to find any of these products if you find something that you really want to use. So of course, we've got a basic envelope. Then we've got this, I'm using this one, I have here Boho Blue, but we're gonna do it with Blueberry Bushel, because I'm gonna use this other coordinating paper, which I think just lends itself more to Blueberry Bushel, although the Boho Blue is pretty too. But I thought the Blueberry Bushel was a little bit prettier. So the original one, I used the Boho Blue. This is Blueberry Bushel. So it's just a standard card base, cut at 8.5 by 5.5, and it's scored at 4.25. And then I'll show you how to cut the diagonal. And then the second flap here is cut at 8.5 by 3, and it is also scored at 4.25. And then you'll need a little scrap for the sentiment. Which I realize I don't have in here, so I'm gonna have to make sure I grab one of those. And then you need some basic white. You need 2, here they are, oh my goodness. Cut at 4 inches by 2 3/4 inches, and then you'll need some scraps for punching, and then a vellum scrap for punching. And then the designer series paper, pattern 1, is cut at 5.25 by 4, and kind of like, look, okay, which way are the letters upright? And then a second pattern, and you can use either side. This one's not really multi-directional, so it's a little bit easier. You'll see why when we go to cut. This one is cut at 5.25 by 4, and then you're going to cut it on the diagonal. So go ahead and take a little screenshot if you want of those, or you, as I said, you'll see it in the in the description of the video. So I'm gonna move this aside, and the first thing we'll do is cut the card base. So this is the card base. It is scored, as I said, at 4 1/4. I'm gonna bring in my trimmer. You do want a nice sharp blade for this. Set this aside. And I'm gonna bring in this original card again because I want you to see it's really important that you cut it on the correct diagonal. So I'm basically gonna open it up like this, and you can see that I'm gonna cut from the inner corner to the outer corner. This is the way I want my card to fold. So that's the piece that I'm going to move away, that I'm going to cut away. So what I'm doing is I'm lining it up. I wanna make sure that my blade is at the top of the trimmer. Let's see, gotta make sure that this is flat so I get a good cut. And I'm lining up my corner here and the corner here. Now, I don't know if you can see that. You can kind of come all the way down. If you feel like it's gonna move on you, you can kind of come all the way down so that it fits like in that groove, which gives you a little more stability. I have too many things here on my desk. There we go. Okay, so the two things that are important. One, of course, you want it to be nice and stable. The other thing is I'm going to start my cut up here because it's not right at that angle. I mean, you certainly can do it the other way, but I feel like I get a better cut if I don't start on that point. And I'm just, go ahead. And then there's gonna be my extra piece that I will use for my sentiment. Okay, so that's the card base. And now I'm gonna bring in the designer series paper. So again, I'm looking, if your piece is unidirectional, you wanna make sure that you've got it upright, and it's gonna go on the card like this. So this is the diagonal line that I wanna use. Now this one, you really can't, you have no option. You have to go ahead and start it on the point. So just be careful when you do that and start it slowly. Make sure you've got a nice sharp blade. I usually kind of just start it a little bit slowly and then pull it across. And these pieces are gonna go like that. And then the inside, so this other pattern is going to go on the inside. So now I have a decision to make. Do I care which way it's going to go? Because I'm gonna cut it on the diagonal again, and then this other piece will be like that. So I can kind of look at it and decide. I think I'm gonna have it this way. And certainly I could use the opposite side as well. But one more time, I'm gonna take it on the diagonal. Again, if you've got a unidirectional piece, it's a little more critical. Let me think about this. It doesn't matter. Okay, I was just looking to see if those letters are so small up here that it's not gonna really matter. All right, so then I will set this piece aside. That's all the trimming I have to do. Oh, I'm sorry, I just knocked my camera. I hope I didn't make you dizzy. Okay, and then these are all gonna go in like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and assemble the card as I told you, and then we will do the decorating afterwards. So this piece, as you can see, can either go like that, or I can do this one like this. So either one will work. If it's unidirectional, then you run into issues where you can't really do it that way. But I think I'm gonna use this one. So the first piece we're gonna do is go ahead and we're gonna line up, I think I'll line this one up, the inside first. Just like that. And I like to use liquid glue, especially since we've got these corners that we want to make sure we get good and tight. Not tight necessarily, but I just want to make sure that they are down. They're glued down fully. There we go. So So that, I'm just looking at the outside there to make sure that that's lined up. And then with this one, what you'll find is it's a little tighter. You're gonna actually come very close to this cut edge because you've got that equal seam there. So I hope that makes sense. When I put it down, what I'm really just paying attention to is this, the left and the bottom, to see that they're about equidistant from each other and about the same distance from the edge as this one is. And then as you see, put that down a little crooked, then that middle seam becomes equal. Not, you know, it's not critical that you worry about that, but it's just kind of a nice to have if you go to center it. Okay, and then this piece is, this is that other base that we had. We're gonna go ahead and fold and burnish that. And this is actually just going to be right in the middle here. And the thing you just wanna watch about this is you wanna make sure that it's centered and it gives you enough room so that it doesn't get caught in that corner. So I opened it up like that. So I mean, I've got plenty of room. I'm just kind of checking visually all the way around to see, and it looks like it'll be fine. So, oh, I almost forgot. There we go. We have to put that one in before we put the other piece in. Okay. See, it's always good to double check. Put that one in. And this same kind of thing, you just really look at the bottom and the left-hand corner, and you see it comes in. All right, and so now when I put this in, I just want to make sure, after I line it up, I'll just kind of close that to make sure that it'll close. All right, and then this, go here. Oh, the dropsies today. And I'm just lining it up, looking at my edges to see, and just double checking. Yep, plenty of room to open it. And that's the basic layout of the card. And now we will go ahead and do the stamping and decorating. So let's set this aside, and let's see, what do we start with? Let's start with let's go start with our all of our little bits and pieces that we're going to use. So with this punch, because there are two different leaves that we're punching out, I like to cut my papers in strips. That way when I send it through, as you can see, this one's already cut, it only cut a little bit from the other leaf. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and punch out and I'll ink up and punch out the, let's see, I'm trying to decide what colors I'm going to do, the leaves. So I'm going to bring in some scrap here. I need 2 of these little flowers. I think they are so cute. And because I want it to be two-tone, I want the leaves to be one color, and I want the flowers to be another color, I am going to use my sponge dauber. And I'm just going to go ahead and ink up right there. And you see how I kind of did it on an angle, and it's okay if it goes a little bit, actually I like it if it goes a little bit onto where the flower is. So this is shaded spruce, and interestingly, shaded spruce isn't technically a color that they list, Stampin' Up lists as being in this set, but I feel like it works really well. So that's what I'm using. I mean, in the paper, you know, Stampin' Up always tells us what colors the paper coordinates with, but you don't have to be locked into those colors. This is a light color. This is the fresh freesia, so I want to make sure that I get a good amount on there. And I'm huffing on it, and I'm just going to, here we go. And it gives it kind of a watercolor look that I really like. So as I said, I need 2 of these, so I'm going to do it again. Ink, the fresh Freesia. And another one. Okay, so now the other thing I need are 2 of the bow, I never know how to say that. And I'm gonna actually start this one in the Granny Apple Green. Let me move this aside so that I don't accidentally use the wrong color. And I'm gonna ink it up with the Granny Apple Green, and then I'm gonna come in with that shaded spruce. I don't know, can you see that? It's not inked evenly, so I'm gonna do it again. And that's one of the beauties of the stamps. You can kind of see how they move that aside so I don't get the wrong color. And I'm gonna come in and just do a little, so I get a little two-tone effect. So I came in with the shaded spruce. Look at, isn't that pretty? And it's even a little mottled. You know, to get a really good firm image, a lot of times with a photopolymer stamp, we recommend using a pad. But with this one, because I wanted it to get a little bit of a mottled effect, I didn't, and I like that. See how I like it? It's kind of speckled. Now, if you noticed, I cleaned the stamp, and that's because I don't want to contaminate my light green ink with the darker shaded spruce. So I cleaned it, set it aside, and now I'm going to go in again and take a little bit of that shaded spruce, which is really got a lot of blue in it. And go ahead and do that. So I need 2 of those, 2 of each. Okay, that makes me happy. Those look good. Set this aside, and we will go ahead and do some punching. So, as I said, I'm gonna just line this up one at a time, watching the stem, and I'm kind of, if you've never used the punches before, I like to, with my left hand, I'm kind of squeezing it, letting go, kind of like halfway, just making sure, kind of taking my time, making sure that things are lined up the way I want them, and then that, and then I'm doing it again. This time I'm using my right hand to do the gentle squeeze, because most of the paper, the extra paper, is in my left hand. There we go. Okay, so I've got those 2. And now this one will come this way. And same thing here. So I look at the stem first, and then I kind of look up at the top and the edges. And then I feel like, okay, that's a good spot. Same thing, kind of get that stem lined up where I want it, and then just double check if I need to make any adjustments. Nope. Okay, there we go. And 1 piece of vellum, and I'm going to use the vellum on the large leaf. So that one's pretty straightforward, but again, I'm using the strips so that I don't waste the paper. All right, so these are my pieces here. Now, what I'm going to do is bring in my inside and my front. So the inside, I did not do any stamping. I just did a little bit of decorative stamping. I did not actually put a sentiment on it, because I thought, you know, I don't really know yet how I'm going to use this this card. So my sentiment's going to be just kind of a hello. So I'm going to wait to put an inside sentiment, or maybe I won't put any sentiment on at all, and maybe I'll just write on it. So that's all I did for the inside sentiment. And so I'm going to set that one aside. This is the little stamp from the Timeless Arrangements. I just think it's so pretty. It lends itself to just kind of such a wonderful little background. So that's what I used. So I'm going to stamp the other, but I think what I need to do in order to show you how to lay it all out, I think before I stamp that, I'll stamp my envelope. And then I'm going to do this, I'm going to do some heat embossing for my sentiment, and then I'll be able to show you better kind of how I lined everything up. And I'm just kind of turning and going just down the side of the envelope. Simple, 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 but, you know, really cute. Gives an indication that something fun is inside. It's not your standard, you know, bills. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to set this aside. We're going to do some heat embossing. I'm going to bring in, this is that extra diagonal piece that was left over from when I cut the card base. So this is the die, and this is the stamp. It just says hello, and it is from that layering leaf stamp. It's got a really pretty script on it. So as you can see, I've got lots of room. I brought the die in just kind of so that you could see where, you know, where kind of, you know, give you an idea of where you're going to put your stamp and how much room you've got. This is actually from the Cheerful Daisies dies, this banner, and it just fits really well. So the first thing when you're heat embossing, if you haven't done any heat embossing before, the first thing you want to do is you want to use something to take any static off of your paper. Now you can see that this is white. I will clean it up. I'll show you how to clean it up afterwards. But this way I make sure that I don't have any stray powder from the heat embossing to get in my way. And I'm gonna move this over, and I am actually using white craft ink for this. And this is the other thing that I wanted to show you. So this is the Stampin' Pad, the white craft ink. And when you use it, most often you have to add the ink. When you get it, you'll add your ink to the pad. It'll be a pad that has no ink on it. So I'm going to show you. Mine does have a little bit of ink on it already, but when you get it, you'll be like, what the heck is going on? So you take, and I use the back of this is just a plastic spoon, and I'm going to just rub that ink into the pad, kind of spread it around, try and get it nice and even, and move it around to ink up my pad. And this is the same technique you'll use if you find that your ink pads are getting dry. You just go ahead and use your ink refill and put it in there, and you're good to go. All right, so now I've already taken the static off. I've got my stamp all mounted. I'm going to tap, 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 and I'm going to go ahead and stamp with the white powder. And you can see, I mean, it's not very dark, right? So I'm going to bring in my white embossing powder, and I have mine in a little container. So it's going to get it like a double whammy, right? You can do just the Vellum or just the Versamark ink, but I find that if I use the white craft ink and the Versamark ink, especially when I'm on a dark paper, that I really get a really nice image. So it's going to be a little loud. Sorry, I'm bringing in my heat tool and let it heat up a little bit, and then go ahead and, if you can see the magic happen, I like to do it on this metal plate. See that? because, there we go, because you get the heat, you know, heats up the metal as well. I just got this from Goodwill. I don't know, it's had it for a long time. It's just a tray that was probably part of a serving set. And, you know, it's just a couple of bucks, but it works perfectly. It's just a really great little size. And so there you go. So I'm gonna let that dry a little bit, and I'm gonna show you how we're gonna come in and get rid of all of that powder, because of course we don't really want that on our image. All right, so I have one of these, it's a microfiber towel, and I'm gonna just go over, make sure that that's dry. I'm just going over my image with this microfiber towel, and it takes up that powder very nicely. And then once I'm sure that it's all dry, I will go ahead. It doesn't take long to kind of harden, but I do like to be a little bit careful. And I'm going to bring in my mini cut and emboss machine, because it's nice and small and it fits very nicely. And I'm going to line that up. And you can see it just fits. I like to use this. You can use painter's tape or some kind of tape to just make sure that it doesn't move when it goes through the cutting machine. And there we go. Okay. Looks like I had some stuff on my plates, so they're going to be due for a cleaning. But again, my handy dandy microfiber towel works beautifully. So there we go. There's my sentiment. So now I'm going to bring in, this is going to be the decoration for the front of the card, and I'm using some extra paper because I'm going to stamp off part of my image. So I'm going to use the fresh freesia and the shaded spruce for my images. Let's see. And if I bring in these again, what I'm going to do is I've got one that's going to be kind of off to the side. I'm going to go ahead and put dimensionals on this so that I'm kind of looking at it, lining it up. How do I want it? So go ahead and do my dimensionals here so that I can kind of play around with lining everything up. So kind of line that up maybe like that. One there, and then my vellum leaf is going to be in the middle. And then these little guys are going to go here. And I'll tell you, the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm going to add some stamping around the outside of this. So this kind of gives me an idea of where I want that stamping to be. So I'm going to bring this guy in, and I think I want him to be kind of in the center. And then, so I'm going to stamp him off. I think I actually want to stamp him off twice. Let's check that. That's still pretty dark. There you go. Yeah, I want it to be really light. So double check that. So I know he's going to be in the center, right about there. So let's do that one more time. 1, 2, and then I'm holding him up. I think I want it to be kind of right there. Slide all this out of the way. And then go like that. All right. And then I'm going to bring in that fresh Freesia ink, where did I put it? Here it is. And I'm going to add some more of those little, not sure what they are, like little bubbles or something. So we know this one's going to be kind of down here. I want one of them to kind of be here. I want one to be maybe right there. And I want one to be, I don't want it to be on that. There we go. I think that's good. I might do maybe another one over here to kind of balance it out. And I can always add more as let's lay it out and see again kind of how we want it. That's going to go right about there. There. That's good. I think that's going to be good, because I'll put some, well, I got a little dot there. I'm not sure what that is, but I'll put some, you know, some embellishments there. So it'll be fine. Okay, here we go. First thing I want to do is put this vellum down, and I know that it's going to be hidden underneath the sentiment, so I can go ahead and just put this adhesive right on it. And I want him to be just a little bit higher than that leaf there. So put him there. And then I kind of had this one. Let's put this one in first because he's the taller one. And I'm only going to adhere the bottom of it. I want the leaves on the top to kind of stick out a little bit. And you can even kind of break them down a little with your thumb and your finger to kind of curl them just a little. I kind of want this one to be kind of up and on an angle. Now I just double check, make sure everything else is good. That's gonna work. I don't have anything sticking out underneath or down low. I mean, I can always cut them if I need to. I want that one to be maybe on an angle that way. Same thing. Let's go ahead. This stamp set really is fun. I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do with it. It can combine with so many of our other stamp sets. I really have just have lots of wonderful ideas for it. So now these, so this, as you can see, they're all adhered onto the card base. I want a little bit of dimension, so I'm gonna actually bring this and I'm gonna adhere this to the back of the sentiment because that's gonna be popped up a little bit. So you could use a glue dot, or I just, as you saw, I just kind of scribbled a little bit of ink there, a little bit of glue there, kind of tap it down right up there, right? Again, kind of double check, where is it gonna go? And then this one, I want this to be just a little bit farther down. So I've kind of got two heights there. Let's push that one down a little bit more. And you could also just put your another dimensional there. I want it on an angle a little bit more. There we go. I think just like that. Take that off. Take that one off. And line that up. I'm looking to make sure I don't have any stems sticking out. I want the sentiment to be centered, and go ahead and attach it. Okay, so now everything's done. Let's go ahead and finish assembling our card. So the inside is just gonna go on like here. What you could do is just leave it off. If you think you're gonna add a sentiment later, you could certainly leave it off and attach it when you give someone the card. But I'm gonna go ahead and put it in now. All right, close that. And then this is gonna go on the front. Oh, I think that's so cute. Just love that paper. Oh my gosh. The colors are just stunning. I don't know if you, in person, I mean, I think they're beautiful on the video, but boy, I'll tell you, in person, they really are stunning. I mean, a couple of our new in colors, you know, the blueberry bushel, the berry burst. You know, the other one was the boho blue. And then let's go ahead and use, let's see, so I used the boho blue, of course, on the other, but I'm gonna use this one. This is the Tinsel Gems 4-pack. And it's Pretty Peacock, Blueberry Bushel, Berry Burst, and Lemon Lime Twist. All of these colors are in this paper. I think I like the blue because I want it to pick up the blue of the paper. So, of the background paper. So let's put one over here. There. Let's see, maybe another. I think a big one could go here. And then I'll take a smaller one. Remember I said I had that little dot there? There we go, perfect. Works perfectly. So what do you think? Do you have a preference? Let me know in the description, in the comments, if you think you have a preference for one color versus the other. And thank you if you stayed all the way till the end. I appreciate it. If you like what you see, give me a thumbs up. If you would like to see more videos and more of the things that I do, I try and post a video about once a week. And if you follow along, you'll get a notification when I upload another video. So thanks again for joining me today. Again, my name is Linda Edwards. I'm with Crafty Here in Designs, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.